Hey, what's up, you guys? A long time no friggin' see. Today I'm gonna be doing a video that I saw Abby Williamson do on her YouTube channel, and it's the palette tag, or like the favorite palette tag. I've been wanting to do a video like this for TikTok for a while. In fact, I might do that after this is done. In fairness, I have not looked decent in like a while because of the quarantine. So today I'm like, I have makeup on, I dyed my hair yesterday, let's film a video. So that's what we're doing today. I have a pile of palettes here, and I'm going to go through them. I'll list all the questions in the description below, so if you want to film a video like this, feel free to do so. How are y'all doing? It's been forever, and I feel really bad. I feel like I should be filming more videos during this quarantine time, but I saw this tag, and I was like, I have to do it, because I love eyeshadow palettes. It's like my favorite step of makeup, so like I said, I have a pile here. I'm going to go ahead and get started. I wrote all the questions down on this piece of paper because I don't have any other way to do it. I'm filming off of my phone, so without further ado, let's get into it. The first question is your newest palette. And so the newest one I have, granted I haven't bought any makeup in a while, is the Alyssa Edwards palette from Anastasia. Who's watching Drag Race right now, man? I'm so excited for the finale. I really want Jada to win. She's from Milwaukee, which is like where I'm kind of from, so super excited. Either way, I just got this palette not that long ago from like a TJ Maxx. I've only used it like once or twice, so it is fairly new. The last time I wore it, I used this purple shade here all over the lid, with some of this brown shade in the crease. So nothing super crazy. To be honest, I kind of regret buying this palette in a way, because I feel like I don't tend to use these super bright colors all the time. And if I am going to use it, I have other palettes to, use it or to do that with. I was kind of just swept up in the fact that there was an Anastasia palette at TJ Maxx, and I was like, I need to buy it right now. But yeah, it is a really pretty palette, and it has, a really nice formula. It's Anastasia, so what more can you ask for? But yeah, that's my newest one. My oldest one, I have two, because I couldn't really remember which one I had gotten first. So it's either between the Too Faced Pretty Rebel palette, which, if you've been on this channel for a long time, I have raved about this palette. It is probably way past its expiration, but I just really love the color scheme, and maybe one day I'll try to dupe out some of these shades so I can, get rid of this, because it's survived through so many declutters. It's crazy. This shade here, Girly, was one of the first ever, blue-brown duochrome shades I had ever worked with, so you can see the big dent in there. But yeah, I've hit pan on this white shade here. I just really loved this palette, and I keep it around for sentimental reasons, really. Otherwise, I have the Vice 2 as well. I was amazed by the push button opening of the palette. So that's what this one looks like. Lots of fun jewel tones. Oh, you can see my palette right there, or my stack. I haven't used this one in a really long time either. The Vice palettes and this one, like I said, have survived so many declutters. They may be well beyond their expiration, but it's just sentimental. I remember being in the dorms and really looking forward to when the Vice palettes were coming out. I have Vice 2 and Vice 3. I did declutter the Vice 4 palette. But yeah, like I said, I don't even really use these shades that often. It's just more of a sentimental thing. I can't bear to throw it away. So those are my two oldest, as well as, like I said, the Vice 3 is probably up there as well with the Vice 2. Yeah. And then the next question is the most expensive palette. And I tried to work out prices. I have two for this category, one of which is strictly the price that it's sold at, and that would be the Natasha Denona Sunrise palette. This palette is really, like, it's $60. I looked it up to purchase, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it's in the 60s. And it's just got these beautiful, like, warm tone pinky shades. Really love that. That is totally up my alley all the time. So yeah, that is the most expensive palette just based on price. I did, however, put this one in there as well, strictly based on shipping, because this is the Shane Dawson Conspiracy palette. It's $52, I believe, if you were just to outright purchase it, but shipping to the UK from Jeffree Star's website, I think made it, more expensive, based on, international shipping and customs and things like that. So for me, this is probably my most expensive palette, just based on my overall cost. But I think the Natasha Denona one is the more expensive just based on price. So that's the Conspiracy. This palette will be coming back for another question later on in the tag. So yeah, those are my two most expensive. My least expensive palette is probably... Now again, I don't know exactly. It's definitely one of my ColourPop ones. I'm guessing it's either the Take Me Home palette or the It's My Pleasure. They're both probably around the same price point. I'm going to talk about the It's My Pleasure one though, because the Take Me Home one is on another question. This is the only ColourPop like 9-pan palette that I own. And it's just filled with really pretty purples and like shimmers and stuff. I just love this. I don't tend to reach for purples too much, but when I do, this is like my go-to purple palette. So yeah, really pretty. And they're super affordable. Really, literally any palette you can buy from ColourPop is super affordable. So, love that. The Take Me Home palette, however, is actually the next question for an everyday palette. So, I don't really wear makeup every day. Like, if I do, it's usually like to work or whatever, but I haven't been working since I've been over here, so I haven't really felt the need to wear makeup every single day. But if there's ever a time where I'm sitting here and I have no clue what I want to wear for my makeup, but I need to just throw something on, this is the palette I tend to reach for. This is one of the palettes I brought with me the first time I ever visited the UK. It was this and the Tartlet in Bloom palette. But I feel like I just reached for this, and this was pretty much all I needed. You have a really pretty shimmery lid shade, 3 mattes, and then 2 kind of like satiny shades. And it's just really gorgeous. It's perfect for on the go or just, to slap something on your face. So yeah, this is probably one of my favorite palettes just in general, just for the ease of everything. Which I never thought I would say. It's something this tiny as like your favorite. I usually love me a big palette. Options. Your most colorful palette is the next question. And actually, this one is actually kind of a surprise. I don't tend to reach for this one too often. I kind of even forgot I had it. And it's the BH Cosmetics Color Festival palette. This one looks like this. Super pretty, right? It's either probably between this or the James Charles palette. But I think this one is just strictly color, or like strictly brights. I don't tend to reach for this too much. Again, like I said, I kind of forgot I even had it, but it is gorgeous. Maybe I should leave it out and wear it like tomorrow or something. I have worn this blue shade before, this Rage, and what I like, or like, they look pretty in the pan, this row here of dark shades, but swatched out like next to each other, they're kind of all just like a murky, like a dark, they just look dark. You can't really tell that it's like a blue versus a purple versus like a like burgundy kind of color versus a brown. They all kind of just end up looking like murky or like dark. But the rest of the palette is super pretty. This shade here, this Queen, and this Hollow, they're just so pretty. Like, I really love them. And I should reach for this palette more because like I said, I forget I have something. I forget I have things sometimes. So yeah, I probably am going to leave this out. Perfect for spring and summer. Super bright. And super affordable because it's BH Cosmetics. So that's cool there. The next question is your smallest palette. Now I have a couple options because I am like high maintenance like that. As far as number of shades goes, my smallest would probably be the Natasha Denona minis. I have the mini Lila palette, which I actually still to this day have yet to use. I swatch it like all the time, but I just have yet to use it on my eyes. And then I have the Natasha Denona Mini Star palette, which is another like go-to, don't know what to wear, slap on these 3 middle shades and you're out the door. So as far as number of shades, these are my smallest. But as far as actual like size, I would have to go with the Viseart Theory palette. This is the Theory number 7, Siren, I think it's called. I got this out in California when I went to visit my sister, and it's the only Viseart palette I own. I had to spring on it when I was at Namie's, but super pretty. Love the peachy, goldy shades. Right up my alley, as you can see what I'm kind of wearing on my face today. Don't know how I feel about this lip color, though. I literally slapped it on before I started filming. It's the Dose of Colors Talk is Chic liquid lipstick. I was hoping for more of this berry shade, but it's kind of pulling more red. Don't know how I feel about that. But I do like the formula of those. But anyway, yeah, this is the smallest. It can fit in the palm of your hand. But it has 6 shades as opposed to 5. So those are my smallest palettes. And the biggest palette should be no surprise. The James Charles Morphe palette. This baby is huge. Like, I can cover up my whole face with just this palette. It's really nice. My sister got it for me for Christmas the year that it came out. I don't tend to reach for it, though. It sits at the back of my palette organizer thing, and I don't know why I don't reach for it as often. But yeah, like I said, some of the brights, I feel like from the other palettes, like the Alyssa Edwards one, I feel like this purple is pretty similar to the one in that palette. The Color Festival one by BH, you get a couple of that same vibe in here. But it is a really nice palette. It's got everything you need. Some of these could be like cheek highlights as well. So like cheek highlight there. Maybe a couple of them could be used as bronzers if you really were like in a stretch, or some blushes. So I do like this palette. I don't reach for it as often. I should get back into that. Then the next question is the palette with the best memory. Now I have a lot of palettes with different memories attached to them. I have one that my parents sent to me, the Naked Honey palette, which actually might be a more recent palette than the Alyssa Edwards, that were sent to me while I was over here. I had no, like, say of what they were sending me, but my mom threw in the Naked Honey palette, which was super nice. I have some, like the Viseart palette, and some other ones that I got in California visiting my sister. I've got some that my husband bought for me. But I think my favorite palette with the favorite memory is this one right here. This is the Tartlet in Bloom. If you saw my, it might be one of my most recent ones, my makeup for my wedding video, you'll know why this is in here. This is the palette I wore on my wedding day. So really love this. It's just a really nice, just all over palette. It's, you know, again, it's one of those things where if you don't know what to wear, you'll just reach in here, throw something on, and out the door. This palette, like I said, I also brought with the Take Me Home palette when I came over to visit my now husband for the first time when we were dating, and we came over, or I came over to Wales for the first time, and we went to London and stuff. This palette was right there. So I think both of these palettes, for that reason, and this one specifically for my wedding day, have the best memory. So really love those. Yeah, the next question is the palette that is worth the hype. So I really had an issue with this question because I don't, at the moment, I don't have any palettes that I think are like super hyped up, or if they were hyped up, They're not really anymore. But I did have to say, and I wanted to just point this palette out in general just because I really like it, and I feel like no one's talking about it. Juvia's Place palettes are usually pretty hyped. A lot of people really like Juvia's Place, or at least they were hyped at one time. I think the hype has kind of gone down a little bit. And, you know, I hear people talk about the Masquerade palette, the Warrior palettes, you know, all those kinds of things. But I never hear anyone talk about this palette, and I feel like it is worth any kind of hype it ever gets. So this is the Saharan 2 palette by Juvia's. This is my favorite Juvia's Place palette, and it's probably up there in my favorite palettes just that I have in general. I just really, and like when I show you what it looks like clearly it's not like super used or whatever, but I just really love the color stories, and when I do use it, I get some really cool looks out of it. So this is what the colors look like. It's probably the more like user-friendly color story of the Juvia's palettes. I feel like those palettes are usually super bright and colorful and sometimes maybe a little intimidating. And I feel like this one is kind of more user-friendly, sort of. So you have your 2 blue shades, but if you cover those up, the rest are pretty much, like it's pretty much just a neutral palette. Which is why I like it, really. The only shade I've never used is this darker blue, but even this light blue in the inner corner is so pretty. God, I have hiccups today. Anyway, I really like this palette. I know Juvia's Place is kind of hyped a lot of the time, but I feel like this is actually not getting as much hype as it should. This is like my favorite Juvia's palette. And I have a couple. I have the Warrior, which is like the more neutrally one. I have the Masquerade mini palette. I actually think that's it. And then this one. So out of the 3, this is my favorite, and I think it deserves more hype. On the other hand, a palette that's not worth the hype, in my opinion, which might be a little controversial because I know a lot of people really love this palette. And for me, in my collection, this is like one of my least reached for palette. It's actually kind of dusty, the fact that I have not reached for it. It's the Anastasia Sultry palette. Now, don't get me wrong. I like this palette. It's nice. I can get good looks with it. It just does not inspire me, really. Like, I can look at it and I can see it's pretty, but I cannot... Like, if I'm going to reach for a palette, it's not really probably going to be this palette. I keep it around in case I ever need it for like a job interview or something where I can't really have crazy makeup. But even then, if I'm going to a job interview, I have plenty of neutral palettes that are maybe a little warmer. Maybe that's my problem. Maybe I like a little bit warmer tone stuff. It's really pretty. I don't think it's worth as much hype as a lot of people give it. So yeah, that is my palette that is not worth the hype, I guess. The next question is your favorite palette from a favorite brand. This one might be a little controversial as well. It would have to be this palette. I'm always checking for Jeffree Star. I don't own a lot of his products, but the ones I do own, I do really like. And this palette is no exception. I love the packaging. I think the clasps are really nice. It is bulky, so I can't store it in with my other palettes. It has to sit out on my desk, which is fine. You know, I love looking at it, and, you know, it inspires me to use it. Like I said, I haven't been wearing makeup really since I got it, because I got it for Christmas, and then a little bit after Christmas was the quarantine. So, but yeah, it's really pretty. I wore it on my birthday. I wore the bright shade Trisha all over the lid with Not a Fact in the crease. So I really love it. I think it's just really cool. Every time I look at it, I'm like, I want to just play with it, kind of, or like at least do the little clasp. I don't know. And like I said, I'm always checking for Jeffree Star. I have some of his highlighters. I want to try his concealer. Haven't really been super inspired by a lot of the palettes lately, but I always watch the release videos. I always, I'm just into his brand and his just look. So, that's just me. I know a lot of people have some pretty controversial opinions about him, but I think I like his palettes and I like his makeup. So there's that. 2 more questions and then we're done. So the next question is the most used palette, and that would be this baby right here. This is the Lorac Pro 2. And I will show you what it looks like. I don't think I've ever used a palette this much. And the thing is, like, I don't really know completely why. Like, usually cool tones are not at all what I gravitate towards. Case in point, Sultry. But this palette is just, I don't know why I gravitated towards it so much. You know, I've used up Buff and Nectar and then almost used up Beige here. And then I have, you know, Pan in Snow, Light Brown, and Cocoa. And I don't know why I've used this palette up so much. It is really nice. Like, you know, I really liked this Nectar shade when I had it. It was like a light peachy kind of color I would use in the transition. You know, and this rosé shade and Mocha and even Beige are really nice all over the lid. So, yeah, for a while there, I was using this palette because I was like, I want to finish it up. I see progress. I want to finish it. But I haven't reached for it in a while. Maybe I'll get back into it. It is really dirty. Like, if you look at the lid and everything, it is well loved. So, props to that. Really been loving that. And then I added a question because I thought, you know, a question was missing that I wanted to add to this tag. And it's the palette with your favorite packaging. And I really was looking over through all my things. There's aspects of a lot of palettes that I really like the packaging of, but I had to go with the Anastasia Jackie Aina palette. I love this packaging, the duochromeness of it. You know, it didn't even really have to be the snake skin, like, you know, texture, but just the pink to green to gold, like, that duochromeness of it is my favorite, and I could sit here and like look at it forever, and it just makes me want to use it because it's just so pretty, and the inside is gorgeous as well. So that's probably my favorite packaging wise. But yeah, those are all the questions. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up and do the tag down below. Let me know if you do it because I would love to watch it. Like I said, eyeshadow palettes are my favorite thing of makeup, you know, ever. So let me know if you do the tag. And until next time, I will talk to you guys soon. Have a beautiful day. Bye.